Welcome back to my bathroom and welcome to episode 2 of the haircutting series. Today we're going to be breaking down lines, sections, and angles within haircutting. If you're in school, it's on page 361 in this Milady book. If you're in a different book or not even in school, doesn't matter. I have free printables for all of these episodes on my website. It's in the description box. It's also right here. All right, and if we haven't met yet, my name is Brittnee. I'm a cosmetology instructor. So yeah, all haircuts are made up of lines, sections, and angles. A line is a line, a thin continuous mark. So when we cut hair, we make a line or a guide like this. This is a horizontal line. When I'm cutting for most of the time, but especially in the beginning of hair cutting, your finger position will always match your line to create the guide. So my line is horizontal, so my finger position is also horizontal. It's also showing me where my cutting position is. The line is horizontal, fingers are horizontal, so I'm cutting horizontal. I'm going to be cutting right here. Horizontal, horizontal, horizontal to create my first line or guide. When we're cutting, the lines can either be straight lines like this, or they can be curved lines. The first line we just talked about, but it's horizontal, parallel to the horizon. Looks like this. Here's the sun on the sunset. Horizon, horizontal. Horizontal lines in hair cutting, they build weight. Think of a blunt haircut, a one length. I'm gonna comb this down, and this is not how you would cut by the ear, but just for demonstration purposes. I'm gonna comb this down. My finger position is horizontal, so my shear position is horizontal as well, and I'm going to cut. Forgive me, this may not be super straight because I am sitting down. So this is a lot of weight. Horizontal lines are great for people like me who have very thin, fine hair. Cut it very straight and sleek to create an illusion of volume weight. Vertical lines are straight up and down. They are going to remove weight. Vertical line, do you see this right here? This is a bulk of weight. So I'm gonna cut it vertically, pull it out. This is my guide, ping. Cutting a straight line, playing connect the dots, ping. Don't cut past my second knuckle, so I have to constantly recomb, ping, ping. Now when I release this, I've created a layer. See? Diagonal lines are in between vertical and horizontal lines. So everything in here is a diagonal line. Diagonal lines create fullness and they blend short to long lengths. They can be slanted or sloping depending on what haircut you're doing. It does get a little tricky when we talk about diagonal lines. We're talking about diagonal forward or diagonal back. So diagonal forward, it's a diagonal line. She's not the cleanest line. She is a synthetic blend, so it's not gonna look super clean. But we do wanna aim for clean lines, parting, sectioning when cutting hair. Not only does it visually look better, but it's going to help you make sure everything's consistently even. So this is a diagonal forward line. Looks like this. Our lines tell us where our fingers are angled. So this is diagonal. So when I cut, they're also going to be diagonal. And I'm gonna cut this for demonstration purposes, but this is not the correct way to do it, and the amount of hair is too much. But just for demonstration purposes, we're cutting. So see how my shears match this? Diagonal forward pushes hair forward. So think of the angled bob. You're using diagonal lines, but they're going forward. Creates movement towards the face. Diagonal forward, movement towards the face. Now we're gonna talk about diagonal back lines. It's the opposite of this. So instead of going forward, you're going back. Diagonal back. This creates movement away from the face, back, away. So again, diagonal line means my finger position is also going to match that. Diagonal. Don't do this. That's a horizontal line. Diagonal. Shears are diagonal. Diagonal back, diagonal back, diagonal back. Cutting. And you're in control of this. The steeper or more movement your fingers have, more dramatic your haircut is. So this diagonal back line is the complete opposite of the other one. It's short to long. Very popular right now in the mullet cut, the wolf cut. So you can see the difference in lines. They're both diagonal lines. One is forward, one is back. Two completely different haircuts. When are you going to use them is going to go back to when you're having the consultation with your client and she shows you the picture, explains it, whatever she's doing. But like I said in the first episode, you also have to be upfront and be aware and be honest with your client that if she has a head the size of Kentucky, she doesn't need this haircut because it's going to show off her head. Perhaps she could use this haircut, diagonal forward, to kind of chisel in at the cheeks and slim her face down. Hopefully this is making sense. Now, when we're talking about diagonal lines, we can add in a technique called beveling. This is a one length haircut. A lot of times we think of a one length as a square formed cut, but one length can be three shapes. It can be a square, it can be a circle, which is like a bowl cut shaped in a circle, but everything is one length, or it can be this, a triangle. When you do this haircut, it looks like this, a triangle, but everything is one length. So within this cut, if you again go vertically, do this for demonstration again, this is not technical, we're gonna go vertically, and we're going to cut a diagonal line. See, this is diagonal, diagonal. And we cut, just like we did a little bit ago, like this. When we release the beast, we have long going into short, which is creating a 45 stacked haircut, also called beveling. Now we're gonna get into sectioning. You can't just cut the hair like this without any sort of roadmap going on. This would be chaotic. I am a fan of chaos, but we do need to try to make it clean. I'm going to do your standard 4 sections. So you comb the hair back. Whoa, girl. This is standard sectioning in a lot of hair color, basic haircuts. Comb everything back. We're gonna divide the head. The nose is a good reference point. Whoop. Putting the finger where I want it to end, the middle of the nape, the back of the neck. The comb here, tippy top, flat against the head. You're gonna get a clean section. All right, now you have 2, you need to make 4. Apex, top of the head where the comb is resting, finger where I want it to land, boom, comb meets the finger, clean line. If your client has super long hair when you're dividing it, take a piece from the back, wrap it around. This is up, clip it. So this is your standard 4 sections, also will be called 4 quads. Pretty common, especially when doing your state board practical exam. Sections are just big chunks of the hair. It's how you start a color, how you start a haircut. So for example, to do a square 1 length or a 0 elevated, 0 elevation haircut, you're gonna start with 4 sections, but you can't just cut the hair in this big section. That's way too much hair. So you further dissect. I just took my retainer out, sorry, so my S's are S'ing. So you further dissect this section and make it into another section, which is called a subsection. So when you hear someone say, make a horizontal subsection in the back left quad, this is what they mean. Left quad in the back, horizontal subsection. These are my 2 sections, right and left. I'm being told to make a horizontal subsection at the nape in the back left quad. So here's this. So subsection is just the section's baby. The line that we use to create this subsection is called the part line. Sections are made up of curved and straight lines. This is a straight line. An example of a curved line, which is another very common sectioning, is called the horseshoe. Horseshoe sectioning. Section. Woo, I'm messing it up today. The horseshoe parting is literally a horseshoe or a U. So on the side of the head, it looks like this. All of this needs to be in a big section. How you find your horseshoe parting is at the temple area here where the head is changing. But remember, everyone's head shape is different. So if you need to, find the 4 corner. This is 1. Flip the comb, bouncing at the apex where it hangs down is 2. Comb starts here. I'm gonna meet the comb to the finger and I'm gonna do it on the other side. You can see it's a horseshoe parting. Think of a typical men's haircut. Long on the top, short on the sides. What's in the horseshoe sectioning is what is typically going to be longer, and this is what typically is going to be shorter. And here at the parietal ridge, that's your blending zone where you need to 45 it. So when you hear someone say, make a horseshoe section, this is what they're talking about. The next section is called a pivoting section. These can be anywhere on the head. Here's the back of the horseshoe parting. A pivoting section, also called a pie-shaped sectioning, is literally just a triangle. Pivoting. It will look similar to this, just a triangle. For me, I use them most commonly on the crown area where all the whirls and twirls reside, especially when doing foiling. A lot of people foil diagonal up here, but I like to make a pivot section with diagonal subsections, the section within the section, and do foils diagonal, 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 vertical, diagonal, diagonal, diagonal. So when the highlights grow out, it has a better flow versus that line of demarcation. So a triangle section is a pivoting section. We can go ahead and just cut that real quick. Gonna pull it straight out where the hair lives, cut it vertically. When we release it from this pivoting section, you can see we've got a graduation 45-degree layer. Creates a nice look on the side profile, if you can see that. A profile section, all I have is the back, sorry, I don't have the front, but it looks the same in the front as it does the back, is just two big sections. A profile, so think of a mug shot, your profile shot. So this is the back of the head, the profile sectioning. You'll have one and you'll have two. That's a bad two. So profile is really easy. Splitting the head in half, taking the middle all the way back to the nape, dividing the head into two big sections, which you will again break down into smaller sections called subsections. 1 and 2 of the profile sectioning, just dividing the head into profile. A radial section is the opposite. Here's the apex. Can you see that apex? We're gonna divide it in half this way. It's going the exact opposite way, like a headband. Radial, rainbow. So when you combine a radial section with a profile section, you're going to get your standard 4 sectionings or 4 quads. 1, 2, 3, 4. Woo! Okay, I know that's a lot of information, and some of it, yes, does seem very obvious, like a horizontal line. When I was in beauty school, this was one of the hardest chapters for me to understand. I am dyslexic, so not only reading this book presents a huge challenge, but everything in my world is backwards. A horizontal forward is really a horizontal back to me. I guess what I'm trying to say is, even though it may be completely obvious to you, it may really help someone like me. Moving on, we'll be on episode 3, which is the fun part. One of my favorite parts. We'll be getting into guidelines, angles. I'm gonna demonstrate a lot of different cuts so you can see them. I don't know if we're gonna do that next week. I also have another series I'm working on. It's just for fun though. It's just for fun, so it's not educational. You can catch that. Is it this side or this side? I don't know. Don't forget that there is a free printable guide, worksheet. It's not a worksheet, it's a guide. Printable, screenshot it, do whatever you want to it. On my website, it's free right here in the description box. You can check that out. There's also one from last week if you missed it. But until then, I will see you next time for something cool. Something cool.